it's G from JTech and welcome to another JTech video. Finally, I get to take the cat out of the bag and we talk about the phone I've been using over the last 3 weeks, and that is the Samsung Galaxy S9. When this phone came out 2 years ago, it was such a very revolutionary phone in terms of the little things that we got in smartphones. The fact that this was the first modern smartphone to have a variable aperture lens, and the fact that it brought back dual stereo surround sound speakers and repurposed on many shortcomings that the S8 had. This phone was quite underrated. I'm not saying this because of recency bias, I'm just saying that this phone really was not given the fair credit and fair praise that it thoroughly deserved. At this point, Samsung were still riding high on the success of the S8, and S9 felt more like an iterative upgrade, more like an S8s. But comparing this phone currently to the Galaxy S8, I'd say it's just a completely different phone in the grand scheme of things. So without further ado, let me look at it in a 2020 perspective. How good is this phone now? Should you get it? Would you like to get it? At the end of the day, the choice is yours. Here's the review for Samsung Galaxy S9.
First of all, let's just talk about that color, the lilac purple color. I always like having black devices, matte black devices, and at the shop I was at, there was a black Galaxy S9, but I wanted to go outside my comfort zone and get a phone that just felt more different, felt more colorful, felt more 2020. And the Galaxy S9, I believe, is the phone that started the whole colorful trend. When all phones in the past were silver, gold, black, and plain pastel colors, the Galaxy S9 decided to push the limit and give you color shifting tones. And this lilac purple color is beautiful to look at. But let's focus on the build. The Galaxy S9's design is very much the Galaxy S8 improved. Improved aluminum chassis, improved Gorilla Glass protection, a much more squared off industrial design compared to the Galaxy S8's more curvy pebble design. This was just an improved design, and today this phone might look a bit outdated with the top and bottom bezels, but I highly doubt that. Many people might hate the notch, they might hate punch holes, they might hate mechanical cameras, but this phone really just combined the best of those worlds. It combined very thin top and bottom bezels with a nearly bezel-less edge display in this compact package. I love compact phones. I've said it time and time again. I prefer compact, smaller, sub 6-inch phones over larger, almost 7-inch smartphones. And the Galaxy S9 fits well in the hands. It easily fits in my pockets. I've gotten used to holding a much larger phone for the last couple of years, but the Galaxy S9 felt like a callback to coming home. I haven't used a phone this small, this handy since the itel Vision. I'll do a video on my previous phones in the future, so hang on for that. The display on this phone is majestic. I dare you to find a mid-range phone or a phone around this price that has a 1440p Super AMOLED display. I've said it time and time again, Samsung make the best displays in the game, and I press you to find anyone that even comes close. This screen is just a beauty to behold. Many people might say it's oversaturated, and I tend to like that. Many people might hate the dull colors of IPS LCD displays. I don't hate them, but I'm not a fan of them as much. And many people will definitely love the colorful, high contrast rates, the more punchy, more saturated colors that OLED or AMOLED displays provide. And this phone never lets down in that aspect. This is a beautiful display to look at. And you can adjust the settings from 720p to 1080p and to 1440p. I don't notice much of a difference between those two, but I like leaving it at 1440p because why not? If you can do it, why not do it? The only issue that I have, but this is specifically to my unit, is the bottom left corner of the phone has a couple of dead pixels. They don't get in the way really. It's not like a case of burn-in or a blotch that's stuck in front of the phone. It's just a few dead messed up pixels, but it's not really much of a problem. Doesn't really need to cost a 1500 kwacha screen replacement. But this is a beautiful display. Let's not even forget the curved edge, which I said in previous videos, many YouTubers want to see dead, except for me. In the month of On This Phone, there has been no false start issues, and it's just been a handy feature, especially for things like Edge apps. It's a feature that I've gotten used to seeing and used to using. And honestly, I love Edge displays. The performance on this phone is just a level above what I got used to. From coming from a budget Snapdragon 400 series phone to a flagship level Snapdragon 845 unit, it's night and day. This thing, no matter how many times I've tried to make it lag, it doesn't stutter, it just flies through everything I throw at it. I have yet to download a proper game that will push it to its limits, but other than that, multitasking, using apps in split screen or pop-up view, it is just beautiful to use. It does not lag. It's honestly, I've tried to make this thing lag, and trust me, I'm the master at doing that. But until I get a proper game like Call of Duty or PUBG or Asphalt 9, this thing doesn't lag. No matter what I do, it just feels fast. And I believe from the Galaxy S7 onward, Samsung phones began streamlining the software to work well. The version I have unfortunately cannot be updated to Android 10 as of now, but with Android Pie on it, it performs smoothly. It doesn't have these weird glitches. It doesn't have these weird flashes when switching in between apps. It just works well. And the Snapdragon 845 has beaten many 2020 chipsets like the Snapdragon 735 or 765G in terms of GPU testing. Not so much in terms of efficiency, but in terms of GPU and overall fluidity. The Snapdragon 845 has won in some aspects, and it's still a very solid chipset to use in 2020. So overall, in terms of performance, this was the flagship phone from 2 years ago, and 2 years down the line, it still looks as good. It still performs as well. I personally don't care much about high refresh rate displays. Like, it's nice to look at, but after a while, it kind of gets old. I just prefer a phone performing fluidly and quickly, and the Galaxy S9 does that so well 2 years later after its release. Now let's get to the fun bits of this phone. That's the camera. This was marketed as the phone with the camera imagined, and all I can say is Samsung stuck to the word. This was one of the highly rated camera phones of 2018, and I'd say it's aged very well 2 years down the line. With features from the stock camera app like Scene Optimizer, it just takes advantage of that variable aperture lens, especially in low light. One thing that I never liked about the Galaxy S8 was it tended to have so much noise in low light. It's not up until the Galaxy S9 where low light images were prioritized. It is capable of shooting 4K at 60 frames per second and 250 frames per second slow-mo in 720p, and the stock camera does look good. It even improved on the front-facing 8 megapixel camera. The Galaxy S8 tended to over soften, and the Galaxy S9 made it much more realistic and looked so much better. The only issue that I have with the stock camera, with many Samsung cameras, is the softening. Samsung tends to over soften images. No matter how much you try to get rid of the beauty filter, it just makes images too soft. And live focus is one of those features that just exaggerates the softness of Samsung's image processing. Some may like it, some may not. I prefer a more truer, realistic, more richer, more detailed image processing, especially when you take shots of people. But this is where I have a solution that I highly doubted and that I thought was overrated up until I used it, and that is Gcam. And boy, does Gcam just take it from 0 to 1,000. You put Gcam on this phone, it takes pictures that are on par, if not better than some of the flagships that have come out this year. Many people thought that I got an iPhone or a Galaxy S20 or something close to that when I shared my pictures on my status or on my Instagram feed. All I can say about the Galaxy S9 is it's an underrated phone. It's one of the most underrated Galaxy S phones for quite some time, and it brought features that many of us take advantage of, such as a variable aperture lens that has carried on from this day. It brought back the stereo speakers. It paid precedence to low light photography, which phones before that found it difficult to use. It's such an underrated phone that did so much. Also, another feature that I liked was that it maintained the headphone jack and put the fingerprint scanners from the left side of the camera to the bottom, although I find it hard to discern between the lens and the fingerprint scanner at times, but that's just a tiny nitpick. Overall, I just love this phone. It's obviously the best performing phone I've had, and it has so many features going for it, and I'd recommend you'd buy this. Would I choose this phone right now over a mid-ranger? Maybe. Mid-rangers have come a long way. Maybe. A 2-year-old flagship right now isn't the worst thing to get. I see many people buying phones like the iPhone XR, the iPhone XS, the OnePlus 6T. Phones of that ilk are still being bought in 2020, and they still work well. And the Galaxy S9 is testament to the fact that just because the phone never sold well, just because the phone wasn't that popular, doesn't mean it's not good. And trust me when I say this, the Galaxy S9 in 2020 is really good.
Anyway, guys, that's the end of the video, and yeah, it's been a very fun month using this phone. It's been an eye-opening month, seeing the fact that I've been testing this phone, putting it through its paces in terms of camera, slow-mo, and all these other features. It's still an incredible phone to this day and age, where everyone is focusing so much on trying to squeeze the phone to impossible lengths to get the screen out to any edge possible. And this phone really just reminds me of the fact that simplicity is a very underrated skill, and this is a fantastic phone, and I'd absolutely recommend it. If you might want to live without the fact that it won't get Android 11, but that's arbitrary. Android 10 is still very good, still very useful. So yeah, at the end of the day, this is a very good phone, and I could recommend it for you 100% to get it right now on sale. So thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you liked this video, and if you did and want to see more videos like this, hit the subscribe button. It's been Jay from JTech. Talk to you guys next time.